the ones that I just highlighted, we're suggesting go buy a Raspberry Pi, go buy a gamepad, and together we're going to get through these first 5 or 6 tasks. But the very first step is go buy a Raspberry Pi and load the image on that Raspberry Pi that is software provided by Ubiquity. And there are instructions on doing that here, if you can still see my screen, about setting up the Raspberry Pi, which one of the ways that you can help is see if these instructions work well for you, because in this particular case, I wrote these instructions, doing this myself. So step 1, sub-step 1, download the software from the Ubiquity website and go through the steps to burn it onto a SD card and get your Raspberry Pi going.
Okay, all right.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. That's actually that's not a problem. It's okay. For as long as there are those instructions, I'll go through them. It's not a problem. I'm comfortable with those things.
What I would suggest is if you go through this and you have questions, edit this document and make edits to the document about, hey, this is unclear, or I'm having trouble, or post in the Slack tool, I tried this, but it didn't work. That will help us make these instructions better.
All right.
Does that make sense?
That it makes sense. It does. What is our mode of communication here? Is it via the normal email, or there's a website where we communicate?
Personally, Matt might have a different opinion, but I would say, go back to the Slack channels and probably, I don't know, Matt, what would you suggest? Do you want to use projects?
We can use projects if you think there will be enough traffic. If it makes sense, we can create another channel. It's up to you guys.
I sort of like the idea of having another channel, but I don't know what others think.
Yeah, I like that idea too. Mahindra's got one in MicroTrack, but there's not a lot of traffic in those channels. But I think there seems to be enough people working on a similar, garden tractor. In my case, it's a zero-turn mower, but it's a mower-based. So maybe if it's not, I don't know if you're the admin, Matt, or how easy that is to set up a dedicated channel.
For the Lawntractor? Okay.
Is that, I'm just asking, is that something that's fairly easy? I'm not an administrator on Slack, so.
Yep, it's easy.
Piece of cake.
Okay.
Piece of cake.
Yeah. Well, for me, what is not clear is, and I've struggled with this, sometimes I do find myself stumbling into a website where I've seen some emails I've written before and some communications I've made, and I look up and I find it's Ross Agriculture. I need something that is keen for me to go to a website or to go to a site with a link that takes me there. Right now, the first link that I got is this drivegoogle.com. I need to get a link to get me to where I get the staff participate. Forgive me for being a layman on this one. Each time I try to get into Ross Agriculture, I get into that website where it says sign in your name and put in your address and stuff like that, and I'm stuck. When I get there, I get stuck. So I don't know how else to get around to get to where we communicate.
With the power of the interwebs, Mr. Droder has created a new channel called Lawntractor. So This
Okay,
is,
so if I just type in Lawntractor, I'll get to the site.
no. Colin, can you see my screen?
No.
You're not
Your
seeing my
screen,
screen?
yes. No, your screen, no. I can see your sheet that we are sharing, the Slack where it says Slack needs your. Now I can see you know this.
I guess I wasn't sharing
Can you
my
see
desktop.
the chat, Colin?
Right?
I
Sorry.
posted the link that you.
All right.
Colin,
Don't remove it. I was taking it down. Can you put it back, Matt?
it's in the chat. So on the bottom of your screen, you can click the chat button.
Oh, it's in the chat. All right. It's all right. Okay. It's all right.
Matt, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see me circling Lawntractor?
Yep.
Okay. So Colin, can you see? Colin, if you go to the Zoom call, you'll see.
If I go to.
You go to the Zoom call window.
If I go. Zoom call window. Is it?
Hey, Colin, can we try something here? Could you just stop your video? It seems to be causing a lot of latency problems. Is that you guys? Yeah, just don't mute. Do the mute, but just stop.
It's just me. I don't have anything on the air.
Oh, I think Jim is trying to help you out by telling you to stop your video. It'll make your bandwidth be dedicated to just the screen and not your video.
Where is the video?
Should be lower left.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Lower left. Okay. Let's stop that.
Okay. Looks like you stopped your video successfully. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah. Did also agriculture, yeah?
While we've been on the phone, Matt has created a new channel. Are you able to see the channels on the left-hand side?
Yeah, Lawntractor, yeah.
All right. So a minute or so ago, you asked where we got to communicate. This is where we are going.
All right. That's clear. That's very clear. Where's that noise coming from?
Colin, why don't you test posting, hello everyone in that window on the bottom?
Okay. Right. Do you see it?
No, you put it in the wrong place. You put it in the Zoom group chat. I didn't want you to put it there. I wanted you to put it in the Slack channel.
All right, here. Someone can't, let's see.
There.
Right.
We have to make you successful, Colin, because we all want to come visit you in Zimbabwe.
Somehow it's not taking on my click.
We set the time of day for this meeting and everything around you, Colin. So we want you to be successful, man.
Al, he's trying to click inside of the Zoom window with your screen.
Where should I be clicking?
In your web browser, you got to minimize this. Minimize the Zoom.
Minimize the Zoom.
I'm going to stop sharing because it might be confusing.
Minimize this one. I'm looking for minimizing the
You have to be in your web browser or click the link in the chat. If you go to the Zoom chat window, there'll be a link on the very bottom that you can click.
the very bottom.
You see right above where you put Hello World, there's a link, rossagriculture.slack.com.
I think I could be losing things here. Let me see where I know. I ended up with a spreadsheet. How did that happen? Right. Am I making progress? No.
I haven't seen you post a message to the Slack channel Lawntractor yet. So you need to get to your web browser and get to the Slack window.
Right. Get to my web browser. How did I lose it? Guys, I'm sorry about this. Don't know how I've lost the. I can see how they.
Well, I say get to your Slack browser. However you're getting to Slack, you could have it loaded on your machine and could be in the. You could be either getting to Slack via your browser or Slack via the client.
I'm getting somewhere. Disappeared on me. I saw it a while ago. Right. Oh, thank you for losing Slack. What's this? I really appreciate it.
How you doing, Colin?
I think I'm trying to find the guys. Help me out here. Where is my browser? Right. Not that one. Right. Again, my browser. Right. On my browser, what am I supposed to do?
Well, have you ever logged on to the Slack channel before, Colin?
I've been there by chance. I just clicked the Slack channel now.
Yeah, we want you to go to the Slack. We want you to go to Slack.
I'm launching on the Lawntractor. Yeah, go to the Lawntractor and message at the bottom.
Yep, we want you to put "Hello World from Zimbabwe" in that message box.
Hey, hello, from Zimbabwe. Is that the right one?
Hey, my day is complete. I helped you get in there.
Look at that.
Right. What is next before, you know, excitement always brings, right. So, right. What's next now? Yeah.
We had a
got
saying.
that.
We had.
I need to link this, copy that, and stick it to my links there. Right. This is going to be my rows. Put it there. File save is my rows lawn tractor.
Colin, can I go ahead?
Right. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You turned your video back on, by the way, so if you have bandwidth problems, you might turn your video off and might give you a better performance, but I'll leave that up to you.
All right. Where is my... No.
Matt, can you see the spreadsheet?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. One of the things that's interesting about the Google Sheets is, if you've not used it before, I mean, Matt explained it to me that, you know, multiple people can be in here editing. So, you know, either when we're together or separately, you guys can add to this. I can see Jim, looks like you put some stuff in here about what's going on in your world, which is cool. Thanks for doing that. So it looks like you're doing it with is the red brick, is that instead of a Raspberry Pi, you're going to use this thing? Just out of curiosity. Jim, you're on mute in case you're trying to talk. Anyway, back to the task list. One of the functionalities of this tool is anybody can add while we're going on. You can see Matt, while we were online, you know, added this.
Hey, Al, sorry, I minimized it in Slack and it went to a little postage stamp, a miniature version, but yeah, sorry, I'll explain what I'm trying to do here. So in the main group column, task column, I'm just kind of filling in or starting to. And then I think, I don't know, for myself, yeah, it looks like you were talking about my sheet, tab I made for my specific project. But yeah, so I mean, these controller groups, you know, I'm clicking, oh wow, it updates fast. You know, I might expand this out. I'm not in love with any of these things. This was just some stuff I gleaned from Kyler's reply in projects to, you know, kind of his go-to stuff that he has on hand. Now, I mean, this could be something more similar to what Jeff's using, you know, with the radio built in or whatever, right? And I guess my main three goals here: first, just replacement of this mechanical joystick mess that is on this 20-year-old Schweiss, and the next logical step would be to some kind of teleop, you know, with a gaming joystick. And I think the joystick would end up being the same as if you're sitting in the operator seat or if you're teleoping, just a USB pluggable. So it can either go from the master, which in the teleop mode would be, I guess, a laptop, or the joystick can be plugged into the USB on board, talking to the, I actually think I have a couple of Raspberry Pis. So, I mean, I could substitute the controller right away with that, right? So, and then just I'm kind of always in the background. The way my MO here is I'm kind of listening and getting feedback from other reviews on the web and whatnot. So for IMUs and GPS, and I think for my budget and performance that I've seen, I think I'm going to end up going with this U-Blocks developers kit as a starting point. Seen some good reviews out there. I think a couple people in the forum are using it. And then this is just this whole servo is sort of this, you know, Super 200 that seems like the servo of choice for this board. But I've been looking at some other options as well. So some of these don't have the torque requirements I need, but I'm just sort of keeping them on hand for maybe potentially other things down the road. Yeah, and eventually, you know, when I saw off on what I think the plan of record is for controller, IMU, GPI, you know, I'll kind of whittle this down for this project tab. But I'm just kind of using this as a loose gathering of options.
Cool.
But, you know,
I like it.
So it's up to the rest of the group if they want to do a similar thing. It would help me because, you know, in the case of Jeff with his remote control box that he built and the chips that he used on both ends, sending and receiving the radios, all that stuff is very interesting, and it saves me, being kind of a rookie or a newbie, a lot of time and consternation. You know, there's a success story out there, and my biggest problem is like I'm the type of person that will go off and analyze the shit out of things forever instead of, you know, getting out the credit card. But so I think just this kind of consensus and approval will be helpful for me going forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. I mean, it's up to the others, but I'll put my bill of material in there as well, because
Great, yeah, appreciate that.
I have to tell you, I can tend toward that analysis paralysis too, and I have to stop myself every once in a while. I'm like, what would my 13-year-old son do? And he would just jump the heck in, right?
Yeah.
I gotta remember to stop analyzing stuff. So, you know, folks, if you're so moved, it would be. I mean, I'm going to put another tab in there and put my in there. If you're so moved, it would be useful to do that as well. So, I guess the next step is for myself anyway, is to work my way through these steps and to try to document it as we go. If you want to get ahead and do some of these steps and document it before, you know, I get there, that would be helpful. Matt's, it looks like, completed this step about setting up to talk to the same core. The concept that we were headed towards is using a Raspberry Pi, the Raspberry Pi being on the rover, but having a laptop nearby that, you know, initially could do teleop via the keyboard and then move from the keyboard to the gamepad. I mean, so that's the concept, and using Turtlebot and Stage to do that, and then to test the navigation via RViz. So those are at a high point, those are the steps that we were trying to work our way through, again, in the virtual world, as opposed to a whole bunch of physical stuff.
Hey Al, I see a Google exercise for myself. So I know what Turtlebot is, and I'm assuming you're talking about just a simulated version, but what is Stage?
Matt, you're the. Do you want to describe what Stage is, and Ross?
Yeah, Stage is a 2D simulator. So it will take in your command velocity messages, and then it'll move like a little object around just a map. It's flat, just 2D, but it's it's a simulator. Gazebo is the 3D simulator in ROS, and it's it takes a pretty big computer to get everything running in Gazebo.
Gotcha. I was just going to say it'd be cool to have a link, but I see column H now, and those links will be helpful. Thanks for clearing that up.
Yep.
So this is steps 1 through 5 are just a totally virtualized approach, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Oops, that didn't work the way I wanted it to.
I wanted to ask a question.
Go ahead, Colin.
On the Turtlebot. I don't know whether anyone has seen this book. My question is, there is on chapter 4, where they say case study, interface design. They've got what is called the Tettlebot module, where they also.
You're a little faint,
they talk about
Colin. You're a little faint. So you're saying in chapter 4, a Turtlebot something, but I didn't hear the Turtlebot what's in chapter 4.
Yeah. Right. There is a book called Pink Python. In that book called Pink Python, they've got on chapter 4 a case study called interface design, where they talk about the Tettlebot module and how to install Tettlebot and so on. And I was wondering whether they are one and the same as the one we are talking about on item number 3.
Don't know. I don't know that book. If you want to put in the Slack channel the title of the book, we might be able to look at it. I didn't hear you mention Ross in the title of the book, so I'm not sure if you're looking at a Ross book or not.
Think Python.
Here's what the nice things about, move forward, turn left, and stuff that I've seen in Ross. But it would probably just be like a reference book as to how to install this Tettlebot. I'll go to the website that you referred to earlier on. But I think I would like to move to point 5 as quickly as I can on my side. Yeah, I think 1 to 5. I've tried to move as quickly as possible to get to that. I'll probably place an order for GPS and IMU this week. Unless I'm moving too fast, I would want to know whether when we buy these GPS and IMUs, whether they are specific ones that we should be looking at on the GPS. Are there specific ones or just any GPS and any IMU?
Matt, you've probably looked at the number of GPSs out there. Did you have a preference?
I'd hold off on purchasing the IMU GPS until a little bit more research. So
All right.
the GPS that Jim put up there, that M8P, looks like a pretty good RTK GPS. We just need to get everything working together with robot localization before we.
Okay, it's all right.
We may have one of those M8Ps. I saw another department had some U-Blocks antennas, so it could be they went out and bought one of those. I'll check on that today to see if we have one of those, and maybe I can get some information on that, compare it to my other stuff.
Yeah, mine, I didn't put it here, but the one that I happen to use is a ComNav, and it's more expensive. But it works like a charm. But if we settle on something like this M8P, for the sake of being consistent with everybody else, I'm ready to be consistent. But I would stick with Matt's advice to hold off until we get a little bit more clear on what do we want to suggest. Unfortunately, guys, I've got a hard stop at the top of the hour, so I thank you for joining. Number one, I'm looking forward to working with you guys. As we get close to the top of the hour, anybody have any questions or comments or additional suggestions? Colin, before anybody comments, I added to the chat There is an author that in my personal travels has been the most pervasive in writing Ross books. Joseph Lentin is his name. And if you're trying to do it on the inexpensive side, if you Google his name and do star.pdf, I think you'll actually find some of his books have been put out in the public domain as PDFs. But great Ross books. And so I would rather you see a Ross, personally, I would rather push you towards a Ross book as opposed to a generic Python book. Because I have no idea whether that book is referencing TurtleBot.
There was a course that has been posted today. I saw it today. Fundamental Concepts of Robot Operating System by a guy called Anis Kuba. Have you heard of the guy? Under Udemy.
I have not, but that doesn't mean anything. The Robot Ignite Academy.
Udemy Academy. But what I've been doing on the side is that there are those courses that have been posted. That starts from course 1, course 2, all the way, I think, to course 30. And they've got all this stuff. So I'm trying to make sure that on the concept side, I don't drag back the meeting by trying to to ask questions concerning things that should be common. So I would like to bring myself up to speed with things like IMU, GPS. Obviously, I know what it is, but majority of the stuff, I want to bring myself up to speed so that we are concentrating on actually doing the thing rather than on the theory side of it. I think for me, I'll go through to see, have a look at this guy, Joseph Lentin, and definitely even look at it. It's not expensive to read and do the things right. It's cheaper than to avoid reading and then you end up messing up a lot and taking a lot of time. It's just that I had other things going at the same time, but this for me is a project that has got to be successful.
Okay, cool.
That's all I can say in the sake of time.
You guys are welcome to stay on. I'm going to have to probably dive off. Any other last minute questions or comments? So we'll see you on this Slack channel, and if you have questions, I'm sure each of us will try to help. Matt, I will probably call you and figure out how we talk through steps 2 and 3 and 4 and get some documentation written on those. So with your help, I'll be happy to do the documentation, but just make sure I'm doing the right stuff there.
I just had a question. Does everybody have ROS installed locally and are able to run it? Or where should we start? How to install ROS?
I have ROS installed because it's on the Ubiquity image, right?
On your Pi?
Right.
And also, yep.
So I'll probably template off of you, Al. Sorry, I'm gonna follow your how-to. Mine is not a B+, it's just a B, but I think it'll be sufficient.
Yeah, check their website. Their image might be model dependent. I've forgotten. It's been a while since I put it on the Pi.
Okay.
Matt, help these. I got to run, but Matt, feel free to stay on and let me know how I can help.
That's good. Thanks, Al, for putting this together, getting this organized.
No worries. Looking forward to it.
Yep. Thank you.
See you guys.
Have a good weekend.